What is up, everybody? DrDrake here, and in today's video I wanted to make a review for a game that I have been absolutely obsessed with for the past couple of weeks. It's a turn-based RPG with amazing visuals, a fully orchestrated soundtrack, engaging stories, and much more. So if you didn't already guess by the title, today we're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch exclusive, Octopath Traveler by Square Enix. Now, for those of you that don't know, there are 8 playable characters within the game, as the name implies, and for each character there's a fleshed out storyline, and you can experience all 8 fleshed out storylines within one single playthrough of the game. Now, of course, I have loads to say about this game, but before I really jump into my review, I'd like to throw out a quick disclaimer that I will not be spoiling any plot elements past Chapter 1, and however, I will be talking about some game mechanics that exist outside of Chapter 1, but I don't really think those are too spoilery. And as far as the spoilers pertaining to Chapter 1, they will be very minor, so this will be, for the most part, a spoiler-free review. And yes, I just confirmed that one of the mechanics that I was referring to is actually on the back of the box cover, which is the job system. So yeah, that's not really a spoiler, I suppose. Now, without any further exposition, any further ado, let's jump into the review. Now, to begin my review of this game, I'd like to discuss the visuals. Now, to be honest, I don't really know what to say about the visuals that hasn't already been said by literally every single reviewer out there, simply because this game's visuals are so unique that it draws a lot of eyeballs, and generally that's one of the first things people talk about when discussing this game, but I'll give my thoughts on the visuals nevertheless. Now, this game is absolutely gorgeous, with its HD 2D art style that encompasses the background, foreground, and extremely well done shading and lighting that truly draws players in with its uniqueness. As you can see here, we have an early portion of Ulbricht's first chapter. However, what I like to highlight are the visuals present in this scene, and what I'm about to say applies to any and all buildings in the game. I realize that this may seem like a slightly obscure or a very small visual detail in the overall visual scheme of the game. I still would like to talk about it because I find it to be very visually appealing. Whenever you enter a building, the focus shifts from the outside to the inside seamlessly. What I mean by that is the shading shifts from the outer rings of the screen when you are outside of the building to shading everything excluding the building you are currently inside, while also providing a warm lighting to the inside of the building. I found this one small detail to be fantastic, and personally speaking, it was one of my favorite components of the entire game, visually speaking. Additionally, I found that every single sprite, both inside and outside of battle, were extremely well made. One of my favorite things about this game was that I could enter battle with people I'd previously seen in the overworld, and the reason this was so cool to me was because entering battle allowed you to view a more detailed sprite of anyone or anything you battled, giving you a better idea of what everyone looks like. I also really enjoyed that whenever you assigned a character a subclass, their outfit would change corresponding to whatever job they were assigned. For example, Tressa with the Huntress job will gain a cool Davy Crockett-esque fur cap that I thought was kind of adorable. Another thing that I'm absolutely in love with is the soundtrack. I mean, everyone that has seen or heard of this game knows that the music is amazing, but I just have to talk about it. I can truly say that I enjoyed every single track in this game, from the exhilarating battle theme that gets you hyped up to fight, to the song that plays in more emotional scenes that's very melancholy, to the Gold Shore theme that's reminiscent of something out of a Pokemon game. Everything is extremely well produced, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. Now, the reason that I think that Octopath Traveler's music is so good is the fact that it's both incredibly atmospheric, but at the same time it's also catchy. I personally found myself humming along to the battle theme almost every single time I encountered an enemy. Now, the real reason that I bring this particular point up when discussing Octopath Traveler's music is because I really believe that both of these components are necessary to producing a catchy or iconic game album. To illustrate my point, we can look at another game that's a masterpiece on the Nintendo Switch, and the game that I'm referring to is Breath of the Wild. Although I do believe Breath of the Wild is one of the best Zelda games of all time, I personally found its soundtrack somewhat lackluster when compared to its predecessors. Now, while I do realize this opinion may upset some people, I do have my reasoning to back up my claim. And my reasoning behind this claim is the fact that a lot of Breath of the Wild's music is not catchy. At all. I mean, just look at past Zelda tracks that even hold their weight today. For example, the Gerudo Valley theme from Ocarina of Time, or even the Clocktown theme from Majora's Mask. These tracks are very catchy, which I believe plays a huge role in how iconic they are. Which leads me to my point. Octopath Traveler's soundtrack is so good because it creates great atmosphere while also remaining catchy. To be honest, I think this soundtrack has skyrocketed up to my probably top 5 video game soundtracks of all time because of it. Next, I would like to highlight the combat system and how engaging I found it to be. Now, Octopath, much like any other RPG, can be grindy in nature, which entails battling just for the sake of gaining experience or just to progress the overall story. And I know for some players, they get turned off by the fact that a lot of RPGs can be repetitive in nature. I never personally experienced this issue, just because the combat in Octopath Traveler is so engaging, and simply put, it's just fun. It's fun. Because of that, even on the occasions where I did need to grind for some levels or what have you, I would never found myself bored or not entertained. Octopath Traveler's battle system is a lot like other RPGs, however I think it does enough to keep itself fresh and interesting. The two systems that work harmoniously to create an engaging battle experience are the braking system and the boosting system. The first system that we will discuss is the braking system. The braking system allows you to exploit the weaknesses of your foes, which can be discovered either through trial and error or an ability like Cyrus's Analyze, and once you find their weaknesses, you can exploit them, causing them to break. Once your opponent is broken, they're more vulnerable to any attack, which means you can deal massive damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Now the second system that we will be discussing is the boost system, by which you can either strike multiple times, either 2 through 4 times, or you can increase the power of your strikes. Additionally, you can increase the attack potency of your abilities, including elemental attacks. In addition to these two systems, the fact that each single character has their own individual skill set, including elemental attacks, physical attacks, capturing beasts, it makes for an incredibly diverse battle experience, and it's loads of fun. Also, each character has their own unique path action that can be used outside of battle to do various things. For example, Therion the Thief can steal items off of people. Or alternatively, I guess you could just attack any random person on the street if you wanted to, but you do you, man. And last but not least, I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't mention that the dialogue and the story of this game are incredible. I found myself watching every single cutscene, and you might say to yourself, oh, that's not all that odd, that's what you're supposed to do in a story-based game. But I'm also referring to the cutscenes that are not pertaining to the main characters, that are just pertaining to like random side quest characters. They were very interesting as well. Now the only complaint that I see about the story is the fact that one story of one character can't affect the story of another character, and that the characters don't really interact very much. They do interact in those short, random, like snippet conversations, some of which are better written than others. Some of them are kind of just throwaway conversations in my opinion. But nevertheless, I can see the validity in the argument that the characters should be able to affect each other's stories and have dialogue during those sequences. It would have been really cool to see something like that happen. That's just not what the game developers had in mind. But I do think that they did a really good job of creating 8 individual tales, and although they are isolated, that are all really, really interesting, fun to play through, and above all, they make for a great game. So that's going to do it for my review of Octopath Traveler. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment your opinion down below, I'd love to hear it whether you agree or disagree. And subscribe and turn on notifications if you don't want to miss any future videos. That being said, thank you for watching. DrDrake out. Peace.